Hello, my dear friends. I hope you all are doing good. This is Prashant Mamani, and I warmly welcome all of you to StudyIQ. Today, we are going to talk about Wassenaar Arrangement. We will see what is it all about. We will also start with its root and see how things used to be, and we'll also go through its bits and pieces, important things that fall under this Wassenaar Arrangement. I'm sure you know that last week, India became a participating state of this Wassenaar Arrangement, and this is the most important bit for us to understand that what it means for our country when we say that we are part of this Wassenaar Arrangement, why it matters, and in the end we will also see what critics have to say about this Wassenaar Arrangement. But before that, let me tell you that StudyIQ provides you pen drive and tablet courses for various different exams, as you can see on your screen, and there are many more things that we would like to offer you. For that, you have to check out studyiq.com. At present, up to 40% discount is available on our pen drive and tablet courses, but the only thing is that this is valid till 14th December, so make sure you check out studyiq.com, select the pen drive and tablet courses for your exam, and you can order it straight away from our website. Just in case if you have any queries regarding it, you have chat support available on our portal, as well as you have these numbers here. Dear friends, let's crack on. Let's start with the root of this Wassenaar Arrangement. Now, before Wassenaar Arrangement came in, the world used to have this Cocom. Cocom stands for Coordinating Committee for Multilateral Export Controls, right? That's Cocom, and what this Cocom is all about, it is a sort of it was a non-treaty, non-chartered organization during Cold War era. Now, Cold War, I'm sure you know what Cold War is all about, but let me briefly explain it to you anyways. See, at that point of time, right, around the 1950s, right, early 1950s, since then the world was divided into two, you can say, poles, right? We are not talking about North Pole and South Pole. We are not talking about geographical poles. Here we are talking about political poles. At one side you have this USA, and the other side we had this USSR, right, Soviet Union. And basically Cold War was all about a cutthroat competition between USSR and USA, and you can see here there are many countries that are part of Soviet Union, as well as allies of Soviet Union or friends of Soviet Union, and we have many countries that are friends of USA. Basically, Cold War, as I told you, it was a cutthroat competition between these two giants, and competition was in the sector of technology. In technology, you can take space, right? It was about weapons, and we are not talking about just normal weapons. We are talking about some high-tech weapons, and it was about money. It was about who is going to dominate the whole world and things like that. It did created many problems for many countries around the world. So this is roughly a Cold War era, right? And it lasted from somewhere around 1950s to 1991. So this Cocom was formed, and Cocom lasted, it came into existence in 1950s, and it lasted till 1994. At that point of time, 17 countries were part of this Cocom, and you can see here, you don't have to remember the name of these countries, of course, but you can see here United States is here, and you can see UK, you can see France, then you have Canada. We know that Canada is a sort of all-weather friend of USA. You have Australia and other countries. So these were the countries who were on the side of USA. So naturally, you know that Russia and all the countries, not Russia, but USSR and all the countries, communist countries, right? This group was against, you can say, officially, it is nowhere written that it is against any sort of group or any country, but we know how things works in real life. So as I told you, it was a non-treaty, non-chartered organization, and one of the main goal of this Cocom was to ensure that all those sensitive items like military weapons and all those weapon systems that can create instability and international tensions are not coming in the hands of all those troublemaking countries. When I say troublemaking countries, I'm talking from the perspective of this Cocom group, right? All these countries, they decided that we have to ensure that there is no sort of instability and any sort of tension or conflicts. So for that, it is important that you keep an eye on all these weapons. So for that, this Cocom came into existence, and as you know that their main target was this communist states. So dear friends, later on in 1990s, right, Cocom even started helping Eastern European countries to make sure that there is no sort of proliferation, because you can see here Eastern European countries, we are talking about this portion here. We know that many of the countries were not happy with how Soviet Union used to deal with them. Say for example Poland and other countries, they were invaded by the Soviet Union, and the people of even though all those VIPs, you can say, or all those leaders who were in power, they were inclined to have a friendship with USSR, but the people of these countries were not happy about it. And later on, this Cocom started helping this Eastern European states as well. It also helped in ensuring that this brain drain thing does not take place in this Eastern European states. Now, if you don't know what brain drain is all about, then let me give you a small example. Imagine that APJ Kalam, right, former president, missile man of our country. Imagine that if he would have left India, and if he would have spent his career in country like USA or UK or any other country, you know that all the things that we take pride of at present that are created by APJ would be products of USA, isn't it? So it is basically losing your talented people. This is what brain drain is all about. So this Cocom was also ensuring that all those talented people of this Eastern European states, they are not working for these communist states. But later on in 1991, this USSR was, you can say, this whole thing came to an end, and then we saw many different countries taking place. Russia was born, and so was there were other countries as well, like Georgia and Azerbaijan and Kazakhstan and other countries came into existence. Basically, they were bifurcated from this USSR. So in 1993, the presidents of USA and Russia, they met here in Vancouver, Canada, and at that point of time, USA was seeking, or what USA was looking for, that this missiles and other technologies, they are not coming into the hands of all those troublemaking countries. So this is that was something that USA was looking for, and Russia was looking for better access to the market in the international market. So both these presidents decided that we have to create, or we have to take out the best principles of existing international arrangements, and we have to create something that is up to date, something that can deal with the reality of 1990s. So then came this Wassenaar Arrangement. Now the name Wassenaar comes from the Netherlands. Netherlands, of course, you know that it is a country, and Hague is a very big city of Netherlands, and a suburb of this Hague is called Wassenaar, because this whole thing took place here. This arrangement meetings and things like that took place here. That is the main reason why this arrangement is known as Wassenaar Arrangement. It was adopted by this when this initial elements when this was adopted in July 1996, right, this thing came into existence. Now remember the secretariat. These are basic information about this Wassenaar arrangement, but they are very important. Many times you find this sort of things in terms of MCQ, so please pay attention to this thing. So this secretariat of this Wassenaar arrangement is in Austria, Vienna, right? Vienna is a city, Austria is a country. I'm sure you know about this as well. So keep this thing in mind, that Wassenaar is a place in the Netherlands, but the secretariat is in Vienna, and it is this place where you find all these meetings of Wassenaar participating states, right? They meet here in Vienna, and mostly in December time. That is one of the main reason why I said that not couple of days ago, but last week India got an entry into this Wassenaar arrangement, and the working language of this arrangement WA is English, and the main decision making body, a very important thing here, main decision making body is Wassenaar Arrangement Plenary. India's entry was approved by this Wassenaar Arrangement Plenary. With this, dear friends, as you can understand that all these groups, right, they have a chairperson or a chair country, and this Wassenaar too has this sort of system. So this plenary chair, right, it keeps on rotating. That means every year you will find a new country playing a role of a chairperson. So here in 2016 it was Finland, in 2017 at present it is France. And again, remember, one of the most important thing to keep in mind is that all plenary decisions are taken by consensus, right? All plenary decisions are taken by consensus. That means before our entry into this arrangement, there were 41 countries. So all 41 countries should agree that India should be taken on board. Even if one country is not happy about India's entry, then we cannot enter it. So you can understand the background work that would have been done by all our diplomats in this 41 countries, all those IFS, Indian Foreign Service officers, and of course Ministry of External Affairs and Government of India. So you can understand this thing. The other thing is that this is something similar how nuclear suppliers group, right, it works on this principle that decisions in this NSG are also taken by consensus. Now at present, as you know, I told you that there were 41 countries, but the entry of India now, this WA has 42 participating states or participating countries. And one more important thing that you can find here is that China is part of this P5, isn't it? United Nations Security Council's permanent 5 members, but China is part of this P5, but China is the only P5 country that is not part of this Wassenaar arrangement. And of course, let me put this thing here as well, that Pakistan as well is not part of this Wassenaar arrangement. Now the main aim of this Wassenaar arrangement is to ensure that security and stability around the world is maintained, and also to contribute, it also looks after regional as well as international security and stability thing. And the second goal, you can say one of the most important one in today's era, because at present two things, right, that are creating threat for humanity. One is of course more severe, I must say, is climate change, because climate change, you can understand, it's not only human beings, it all the living organs on this planet, right, they are affected by it. All the flora and fauna and human beings and everyone is affected by this climate change. And the second one is terrorism, right? Terrorism is a big threat. If you go through the United Nations Security Council, United Nations General Assembly, or the speech of Prime Minister, not only of India but USA, UK and other countries, right, Nigeria and other countries, then you will find that every country at present, right, in this world, everyone is worried about this terrorism thing, and so is this WA. So one of the main aim is to ensure that all these weapons that can you can term it as destructive weapons or technologies that can have dual purpose, all these things do not fall in the hands of terrorists. Right, this is very important. This is a big threat as well. This is the main reason why the whole world is worried about Pakistan, because we know how things do take place there in Pakistan, and Wassenaar Arrangement prevents this destabilizing accumulation of weapons and all these technologies, particularly in the hands of those countries that can behave like a problem child for the world. Now, how they do this thing? They do this by promoting transparency and greater responsibility in transfers of conventional arms and dual use goods and technologies. Now, this is the most important bit when it comes to WA. Many times you find questions, right, MCQ questions, but a bit of tougher questions. They give you statements, right? They give you a couple of statements, and then you have to identify the right statement or the wrong statement. For that, you should know a bit more about the things that are in question. So Wassenaar Agreement, remember this dual use goods and technologies. Now let me give you a small example of this dual use goods and technology. The best example that I can think of is nuclear, right? Nuclear thing is the best example, because you know it very well that with the help of this nuclear technology we can produce energy, right? We can produce electricity, as well as we can produce weapons, and these weapons are very destructive weapons. So all this sort of technologies are it ensures that this sort of things do not fall in the hands of all these troublemaking countries. And now, say for example, India is part of this WA, and if we are supplying missiles, for example, to a country called Vietnam, right, then it is the responsibility of India to ensure that Vietnam will not create any sort of troubles in future, right? So this is the main thing, and how it works, how it is implemented. Once you become part of this WA, or before you are allowed to be part of WA, you have to prove your credentials. You have to prove that your national policy is in line or is in sync with this WA. And once this is ensured, then you can be taken on board. Of course, this is not the only thing. There are other things as well, as you can understand. This is not a small matter at all. And apart from that, as you have to align your national policies as per WA, and how the countries, the other countries, how they ensure, how this participating members, or how WA ensures that everything is going good. For that, you are being given bit of freedom as well. Once the group will come to know that your policies are up to the mark, then you will use your own national discretion. So here, in case of India and Vietnam, India will ensure that Vietnam will not create any sort of problems in future. Just in case if it creates, then we have some window of opportunity as well, how we can curb this thing and things like that. So it is all about the responsibility lies on the transferring country, the transferring member country, right? And here, to ensure transparency, this member countries, they do meet and they do share information regarding deliveries of conventional arms. Conventional arms means all those arms that are like nuclear weapons and other things, right? They are called non-conventional, and all these normal sort of things, non-nuclear weapons, predominantly speaking, they fall under this conventional arms list. So member countries will exchange information with each other every 6 months. In this way, everyone can keep an eye on each other. And here is a list of things, as you can see here: battle tanks and armored fighting vehicles and large caliber artillery and light and small arms and things like that, military weapon, helicopters and aircrafts and other things. So they do share information and keep an eye on each other. So in this way, it is more democratic in its working. The other thing is, I have some couple of other tribal, not that important, but just in case, as we are talking about this thing, let's quickly go through them. You have subsidiary bodies of this WA. One is GWG, that is a General Working Group, It deals with policy related matters, and then you have experts group that goes through your list of controlled items, and once a year you have this licensing and enforcement officers meeting, LEOM it is known as. And then you have this Vienna points of contact, and at present this head of secretariat is Ambassador Philip Griffiths, right? He is from New Zealand, so keep this thing in mind as well. Now let's see. I'm sure now things are clear regarding what Wassenaar Arrangement is all about. Now let's see what it means for our country India. Now if we go back in history a little bit, then we know that we had a war with China, and we know that the trouble that we faced from Pakistan for the longest period of time. So India decided to go ahead with nuclear weapons. Now in the late 1990s, we tested a nuclear bomb, and this attracted United States sanctions on our country. Then India was trying its level best to ensure that we are not going to attack any country. It is just for our security, because as APJ has said that strength respects strength. If you are weak, then you will not get any sort of respect from the world community. So for that reason, he said that the country said that we should go ahead with having this nuclear weapons, and it is our policy as well that we will never attack any country, right? We will never attack any country with nuclear weapons as far as we are not attacked by that country. So this is our policy, and the way we have carried ourselves. Eventually it was in 2008 when USA decided to go ahead with a civil nuclear deal with our country. This was a big, you can say, boost for our country, and since then India has been trying to get an entry in this NSG Nuclear Suppliers Group, and MTCR, and Australia Group, and Wassenaar Arrangement. Now you know that last year we had a nuclear deal with a civil nuclear deal with Japan as well, and without this deal with Japan, this US nuclear deal, or Indo-US nuclear deal, is of no use, because this Westinghouse and other companies of USA are subsidiary of Japanese companies like Toshiba and other countries, other companies. So without getting a green signal or a nod from Japan, this circle was, we were not able to complete this circle with USA, or civil nuclear circle. So now things are good, and I'm also sure that you know that last year in 2016 we joined this MTCR, Missile Technology Control Regime, and when we talk about this Australian group, then I must say that we are at a very advanced stage. Hopefully in next year, that is in 2018, we will become part of this Australian group as well. And this regimes, what they do is, I can explain it a bit better with the help of this picture here. It is about weapons of mass destruction, non-proliferation, right? And you have different groups here. This Australian group looks after chemical and biological weapons, and this MTCR, as the name itself indicates, Missile Technology Control Regime, so it deals with all these missiles and other things. Then you have NSG, name itself indicates it's about nuclear, and then you have this ZC, that is Zanger Committee. It deals with nuclear, and this Wassenaar Arrangement, it deals with conventional arms and dual use. Now you know what is conventional arms as well as dual use technology and other stuff. So this is these are the regimes that are there around the world, and we are part of this WA as well as MTCR. Hopefully we will soon join this AG as well, Australian group as well. Now dear friends, this entry of our country into WA is considered as a significant victory for India's non-proliferation track record, because see, the thing is, India has not signed NPT, that is Non-Proliferation Treaty. We have not signed it, and the reason why we have not signed it is because Pakistan has not signed it. If we sign this NPT, then all the rules and regulation of NPT will be applied on us, and when you have a troublemaking neighbor who has not signed this NPT, then it becomes a bit of problem for us. Then Pakistan will have a sort of upper hand on us. So this is the main reason why we have not signed this NPT, and without signing NPT as well, we are behaving in a very, you can say, cordial manner, or our behavior is up to the mark. And this is one of the main reasons why a country like Japan, whose constitution restricts Japan to go ahead with nuclear weapons, and even this Japanese deal, Indo-Japan civil nuclear deal, has to pass through their parliament. Without that, they cannot give us a green signal. So it is a big responsibility on us as well to ensure that we are not losing the trust that is been kept by different countries on us. It is also believed that this entry into WA is going to increase our reputation, and it will help us to acquire critical technologies. There was a time when we were seeking some critical technologies for peaceful purposes, for, say, for example, space programs, right? We were not allowed this critical technologies because there were many countries who were not happy with this, and we were going through this United States sanction, and all these things were on as well at that point of time. And this has created a huge loss for us. So we have to invent these critical technologies. We have to start from the scratch for all those things that were easily available to other countries. It also indicates this entry to WA also means that it will open a door for our entry into NSG, Nuclear Suppliers Group. It builds a strong case for India's entry into this 48-member NSG, and we know it very well that China is the main, you can say, firewall, or it is a country that is not allowing us to enter this NSG. You know, it works with a consensus and things like that. So as far as China is not happy, we will never get entry. But entry into WA without signing NPT and being part of MTCR, now for China is not part of MTCR. China is not part of this WA as well, as you know now. So we are a bit better in terms of China here, and it is not only this WA, but there are some strong, very powerful countries like USA, Russia and France. They are supporting us, right? Even Russia has strongly denied China's interlinking of our country with Pakistan. Russia has said that there is no way you can compare India with Pakistan, right? Both these countries are totally different from each other. And China, Russia has supported us, and Moscow is discussing the issue regarding India's entry into NSG with Beijing at different levels, right? From foreign secretary level to president level and all different levels. It is working for us. This Moscow is ensuring that we get an entry as soon as possible. And it is also expected that we know now there are many private players, right? They are about to enter defense market, like Mahindra, Tata's and other companies are going to enter this market, private defense market. So with the WA green signal, our private players would be able to collaborate or have a partnership with companies from USA or the companies from this 41 members, right? So in this way we would get technology transfer, as well as we will learn some new skills, and it will also ensure that this brain drain thing does not take place, because if we can provide a platform to our young and talented people, then of course they would never leave our country and work for any other country, isn't it? Of course we have to apply for license if we want to get something, but the things are going to be much easier now as we are part of this arrangement. Now let's see what critics have to say. Now many critics, they say that it is just a name, it is just the change in the name. That's what has happened with this WA. Earlier what we used to know as Cocom or some different groups, something similar is there with this WA. They also say that it is a sort of protecting thing, that it works as a firewall, right, for emerging markets. Means firewalls that is in favor of this developed countries. So they can say no to this emerging markets when it comes to transferring technology and other important things. There are many scientists who say that the things like computer related, cybersecurity related things that have been deployed in these guinea pigs, It is basically about mass surveillance and keeping an eye on this upcoming countries or this developing countries. And there is a group foundation called Electronic Frontier Foundation. It has accused the USA of going for even narrower restrictions when it comes to technology transfers. That's everything that we have got here. I hope things are clear to you now, dear friends, regarding this WA. And let me remind you again that 14th December is the last date for up to 40% discount. So make sure you order your pen drive and tablet courses as soon as possible. Right, with this I end this discussion. Do let me know what you think about this version. I would love to hear from you. And that's everything that I have got for you today. I will come up with a new topic and we will analyze it in a much more in-depth fashion as we do all the time. Enjoy your studies. Take care. This is Prashant Mauni signing off. Goodbye for now.